Hi there, in this video we're going to be doing another isometric drawing. The difference between this drawing and the other one that has been already done is that for this drawing we have a circle in our drawing. This here is a circle with a diameter 15, and that will be the main concept that will be introduced in this video. Most of the other parts we have done. We have a sloped part here which we can determine using some distances. We've been given the distance to the lowest line here, the distance to the upper line, so we can easily draw that slope. Like we always need to do for an isometric drawing, the first is creating our isometric box. To create our isometric box, we need to know three distances. We need to know our length. In this case, our length is this distance here, 100 millimeters. The other distance we need to know is our width, which is in this case a 50. And then we also need to determine our height. Our height is the biggest distance from the bottom to the top. You can see there's a 50 there. So our isometric box is going to be 100 by 50 by 50. To draw an isometric box, what you just need to do is draw a horizontal line, a vertical one, then draw a line at 30 degrees going to the left and another one at 30 degrees going to the right. Then we'll get this length, mark it on this part here, because we can see our length is on our left line here. Then we'll extend a line going upwards. We'll mark our height on this vertical line, and then we'll also extend lines like that. This is what will be called an isometric box. So let's get started. You need t-square to draw a horizontal line. That's our horizontal line. Then you can get a 3060 set square, draw your vertical line. You place this 3060 set square on top of your t-square. Then we'll draw a line at 30 degrees. So the 30 degrees is the angle between this line that I've just drawn and the horizontal line. It's worth noting all the lines we'll be drawing that will be going towards the right are going to be at this same angle. We'll always use our 3060 set square in this orientation, or we have our 90 degrees at the bottom right. We'll do or simply draw another line going towards our left. Again, this line is at 30 degrees, and all the lines that will be going in this direction are going to be at 30 degrees. Then we will measure our 100 millimeters with a compass. Mark it like that. This marking is the marking for 100. Then we'll get a 50. These are distances I'm using are in millimeters, so that's a 50, and that's another 50. Then we are ready to draw our isometric box. These lines I'm drawing the first time are just construction lines. I haven't started drawing any outlines. Then we'll extend this line here so that it meets at that point. Then we'll draw a line going towards the right. This line is going to be at an angle of 30 degrees. So that's our isometric box, and our object here, which is a simple isometric drawing, it's going to be within these bounds. Most of the times in isometric, it's best that you start with the simpler parts. In this case, we can start with our base here. This here is our base. We can start from this corner. So we can imagine this is point O, the point here that we'll start with. Then we can label our diagram just for easier reference. I'll call this A, this B, this C. I'll call this D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, we got point P, Q, R, S. These points are just points I've given to the diagram, just so that it can be easier for you to understand how we're going about the isometric drawing. Once you're comfortable with the concept of drawing isometric drawings, you won't need to put any letters. So starting at point O, this point here that we've made, we'll get the distance OA, which has been given to us. It's a 15 millimeters. So I'll measure that, a 15 millimeters, and I'll mark it standing at the point that we're calling O to get the point A. Now, one thing you'll notice in isometric drawings, when you've been given a distance, for example, OA here, you notice BC is not given. This is because this line going towards the right here, we know the angle it's at 30. Similarly, if we have point A, when you just draw a line going towards the right, it will be at 30 degrees with the base, and we'll be able to locate point B. Notice we've already marked this point C. The point C is the point here, so we just need to locate B. So once I mark point A, I can have this line here and this line that goes to this side. So I'll do just that. I'll locate B by simply extending construction line from this point all the way to that part. I also extend the line going towards this side. Next, I'm going to locate point D. Point D is 50 millimeters from O. So I'll stand at point O, mark a 50. To be a bit more fast, I'll mark other distances that are very helpful. For example, the distance SR here is 15 millimeters. Distance has been given here. So I say we're taking this width here to be the same as the width there. So it is the one here and the one there. All these are 15 millimeters. So I'll get SR by measuring 15 even before I draw any other lines. So this is the 15. I stand at this endpoint, strike an arc, and I have a marking there. The next distance I'll mark in advance is the 65 there. That's my 65. Now with these markings I've just made, let me draw some parts so that we can identify our drawing that is taking shape. So that is the 50 mark, this D here. You notice we have a 15 here. How I'll do this is I'll start from the SR. I'll raise this vertical line. Remember we measured the 15 from S like that. Then I'll draw a line starting at this point going towards my right like that. Remember we said this thickness here is 15. Before I do anything, I'll get this point that we marked earlier, take it all the way this side, and then I'll drop it like this. I'll raise this line all the way up like that, like that. I'll drop this line here, that. We have a point that will give us our object. So right now I'm going to outline this part here so that you can easily see it, just this bottom one here, the AIJB surface. Okay, I guess with these parts drawn, you'll be able to see the drawing a bit more clear. So we've finished the bottom part on the right side, this one here, and now we'll draw the slope at the end. What I want us to draw is this part here on the left. It's also an easy part. We just need to mark this 15 to get side OQ. You notice we've already drawn this part. So I'll get a 15 millimeters with my compass, come at this point and strike a 15. You can do it at any point on this line. You can do it from here or from there, but I've decided to use the outer part. You notice most of my measurements I'm measuring using the outer parts of the drawing. I'm rarely measuring inside here. It's a good practice just to make your work look a bit neat. All the markings are going to be on the outer isometric box that we made. So for this line, I know I don't need to extend it all the way. I'll just end it there. Then I'll also make an outline here. So I know the line that's on top there is going to be outlined like that. The line top on the left is going to be outlined. This line here is also going to be outlined. So is this one. This one is not going to be outlined fully. This is where we have our slope. So we need to be careful to avoid it. Instead, we're going to outline this line here, the line that's here. And if you notice clearly on our drawing, we have this part here, ER. I'm going to also draw that. Before I draw it in outline, I'll draw a construction line like this. And another one from the top there, like that. I'm also going to outline this part here. Now we need to draw our slope. We've been given some distances here. We've been given a 30 millimeters from K. K is the point here. We've also been given the distance 30 millimeters from D, which is this point here. So measure 30 millimeters on our compass, with our compass using the ruler. Stand at the point referred to as D, mark an arc like that. Come to the point referred to as K and mark an arc like that. Before we draw any slope, we need to remember that we'll draw a line from this point here. We'll have a 30-degree like that, and then we'll also have another one at the top there. After we have done this, notice we have located these sides EH and FG, which are sides of the slope. What you just need to do is join this point to this point and the point here to that point. If you look on our drawing, it's this point and that one, this point and that one. I'll do just that. Now outline. You notice this slope is not at an angle that we can draw with our set square. We just join points that we've located on our drawing. For slopes, that's always the case. You will never get a specified angle. The angle in isometric is not the one you're going to use to draw a slope. For isometric, we use a 30-degree angle, but for slopes in isometric, we always prefer to use distances. So we have our slope like that. Now we can outline other parts that are left like that. You can see we also need to outline this part here, this part here, that are part of our slope, this one here and this one there. Next, we can finish up the part that we started, like that. So this is our overall isometric drawing. What we're left with is now just the isometric circle. The isometric circle has been defined by a diameter, a 15 millimeters, and we've been given lines that are representing the center of the circle. So we've got a 15 millimeters from B to this line here. We also have a 25 millimeters from B to this line here. So that will be the first step to draw any circle. We will locate what seems to be the center in the isometric drawing. So a 15 millimeters from B like that, 25 like that. Then we extend these lines the way they look on the drawing. You see there's one that is like this, there's another one in this direction. So what is going to be our center of our circle is this point here where these two lines I'm just from drawing are crossing each other. Now when we're drawing an isometric circle, or a part in the isometric drawing that looks like a circle, we will actually be drawing an ellipse. We won't draw it as a circle. So even though we've located this center that I'm just from drawing, what we will do is not getting our radius. In this case, since we're dealing with a circle of a diameter of 15, which has been indicated like that, we won't get the radius 7.5 and then stand at this point, which we are saying is the center, and draw a circle. If we do that, the shape we get is not going to look like what we have in this drawing. This shape here, if we look critically, is looking like a circle because of how we've drawn our drawing. It's an isometric drawing, but in actual sense, if we were to get this shape just by itself, it looks something like this. And this shape just alone is not a circle, it's actually an ellipse. So a very important fact that you need to remember about circles in isometric is that they are going to be an ellipse. How do we construct this ellipse in isometric? We use the four center method to do this construction. So we'll have to stand at this center with our radius, which I earlier said is 7.5, and then we'll mark on these lines that are looking like our center for the circle. So I'll mark an arc like that, another one like that. Notice I'm not drawing a circle, I'm just making markings on what seems to be the center line of our circular part in isometric. Then from these lines, I'm going to extend lines that are parallel. Remember, we work with a 30-degree going towards the right like this. You can also do the same for the line at the top here, like that. The resulting figure that I want you to concentrate on is this rhombus that we get, this four-sided shape here. This is what is going to enable us to draw our isometric circle. Now, before we get to the simple procedure, one thing you need to know is when you're drawing our isometric circle, we should always identify the major axis of our ellipse. For example, in this drawing, the major axis is horizontal. After we identify that, we need to make sure we draw it even in our drawing. So it was going to be from this corner to the other corner passing through the center. That is going to be the major axis of our ellipse. This is a very important step. If you skip this, you're not going to have a correct isometric circle. After that, we are required to join the corners that are not part of our major axis. You can see these two corners of our rhombus or our four-sided shape have been used to draw the major diagonal. The only corners that haven't been used are this one and this one. So we'll choose between this corner or that one. We'll draw a line from that unused corner to this center here, like that, and then we'll go to the other corner and get a line from that corner to the center. What we're going to result in is we'll have 4 points that will be used to draw our ellipse. The first one is going to be this one, the second one is going to be this one, the third one is going to be this point here, and the fourth one is going to be this point. Hence the name four center method. So I'll stand at point 1. I'll open my compass to this point here, which seems to be the center, this one here, like that, and then it should touch this other point here. I'll draw a circle, an arc, just part of the circle, like that. I'll stand at point 2. I do the same. Then I'll come to point 3, open to this point here, and draw an arc like this. Stand at point 4 and draw another arc. As you can see, we have our isometric circle. This is how you could draw an isometric circle and a basic isometric drawing.